स्ट्रीमिंग स्टार्ट हो गई है। लाइक करेंगे करेंगे ऑपरेशन भी करेंगे। होता है नहीं बेटा। गेम का नाम लारा क्रॉफ्ट है। गेम का नाम लारा क्रॉफ्ट नहीं है। छोड़ना अपने को क्या करेंगे।
Very tenderness of hers, her attentions, her love, yes.
This is Audible.
Brought to you by Penguin.
White Nights, a sentimental love story. The third night. Today was a sad, rainy day, without a ray of hope, just like my future old age. I'm besieged by such strange thoughts, such dark sensations, such obscure questions which still crowd my mind. And somehow I have neither the strength nor the desire to resolve them. It is not for me to resolve all this. Today we will not see each other. Yesterday, when we were saying goodbye, clouds began to gather in the sky and a mist was rising. I said that tomorrow the weather would be bad. She didn't answer. She didn't want to say anything that would go contrary to her wishes. For her, this day was to be both bright and clear, and there wasn't to be a single cloud to darken her happiness. "If it rains, then we won't see each other," she said. "I won't come." I thought that she wouldn't notice the rain today, but she didn't come. Yesterday was our third meeting, our third white night. But how fine joy and happiness make a person. How the heart seethes with love. It seems that you want to pour out all your heart into another's heart. You want everything to be gay, laughter everywhere, and how infectious is this joy. Yesterday, in her words, there was such tenderness, so much heartfelt kindness toward me. How she flattered me, how she treated me with affection, how she cheered and pampered my heart. Oh, how much coquetry springs forth from happiness, and I took everything for the genuine article. I thought that she... But my goodness, how could I have thought that? How could I have been so blind when everything had already been taken by another, when everything was not mine, when, in the end, even this very tenderness of hers, her attentions, her love, yes, her love for me, was nothing more than joy at the impending meeting with someone else. The desire to thrust her happiness on me. When he didn't come, when we waited in vain, she frowned, lost heart, and became frightened. All her movements, all her words were no longer so light, playful, and gay, and strangely enough, she doubled her attentions to me as if instinctively wishing to lavish upon me all that she wished for herself, and that she feared might not come to pass. My Nastinka was so timid, so afraid, that it seems she understood at last that I loved her, and she took pity on my poor love. And so it is that when we are unhappy, we more strongly feel the unhappiness of others. Feeling is not shattered, but becomes concentrated. I had come to her with a full heart, scarcely able to wait for our meeting. I had no presentiment of how I would feel now, no presentiment it would all end differently. She cheered and pampered my heart. Oh, how much coquetry springs forth from happiness, and I took everything for the third night. Today was a sad, rainy day, without a ray of hope, just like my future old age. I'm besieged by such strange thoughts, such dark sensations, such obscure questions which still crowd my mind. and somehow I have neither the strength nor the desire to resolve them. It is not for me to resolve all this. Today we will not see each other. Yesterday, when we were saying goodbye, clouds began to gather in the sky and a mist was rising. I said that tomorrow the weather would be bad. She didn't answer. She didn't want to say anything that would go contrary to her wishes. For her, this day was to be both bright and clear, and there wasn't to be a single cloud to darken her happiness. "If it rains, then we won't see each other," she said. "I won't come." I thought that she wouldn't notice the rain today, but she didn't come. Yesterday was our third meeting, our third white night. But how fine joy and happiness make a person. How the heart seethes with love. It seems that you want to pour out all your heart into another's heart. You want everything to be gay, loved everywhere. And how infectious is this joy. Yesterday, in her words, there was such tenderness, so much heartfelt kindness towards me. How she flattered me. How she treated me with affection. How she cheered and pampered my heart. Oh, how much coquetry springs forth from happiness. And I took everything for the genuine article. I thought that she... But my goodness, how could I have thought that? How could I have been so blind when everything had already been taken by another? When everything was not mine? When, in the end, even this very tenderness of hers, her attentions, her love, yes, her love for me, was nothing more than joy at the impending meeting with someone else. The desire to thrust her happiness on me. When he didn't come, when we waited in vain, she frowned, lost heart, and became frightened. All her movements, all her words were no longer so light, playful, and gay, and strangely enough, she doubled her attentions to me, as if instinctively wishing to lavish upon me all that she wished for herself, and that she feared might not come to pass. My Nastinka was so timid, so afraid, that it seemed she understood at last that I loved her, and she took pity on my poor love. And so it is that when we are unhappy, we more strongly feel the unhappiness of others. Feeling is not shattered, but becomes concentrated. I had come to her with a full heart, scarcely able to wait for our meeting. I had no presentiment of how I would feel now, no presentiment it would all end differently. She was beaming with joy. She was waiting for her answer. He himself was the answer. He was supposed to come running at her summons. She came a whole hour earlier than I. At first she shrieked with laughter at everything, laughed at my every word. I was just about to speak and fell silent. "Do you know why I'm so happy?" she said. "So happy to look at you. Why I love you so today." "Well?" I asked, and my heart began to tremble. "I love you because you didn't fall in love with me. Why, someone else in your place would have started bothering me, pestering me, sighing, falling ill. You're such a dear." And then she squeezed my hand so that I almost cried out. She laughed. "My goodness. What a friend you are," she began a minute later very seriously. "Yes, God himself sent you to me. Well, what would have happened to me if you had not been with me now? You're so unselfish. You love me so. When we're married, we will be great friends. More than if we'd been brothers. I will love you almost as much as I love him." I began to feel somehow terribly sad at that moment.
Of course.
However, something very much like laughter was beginning to stir in my soul. "You're nervous," I said. "You're afraid. You think that he won't come?" "Good heavens," she answered. "If I were any less happy, I should probably burst into tears on account of your lack of faith, your reproaches. However, you've given me an idea and a lot to think about. But I'll think about it later, and now I'll confess to you that you spoke the truth. Yes, I'm somehow not myself. I'm somehow all wrapped up in expectations and somehow feel everything too lightly. But enough, let's not talk about feelings." At that moment, steps could be heard, and in the darkness appeared a passer-by who was walking in our direction. We both began to tremble. She almost cried out. I let go of her hand and made a gesture as though I wanted to walk away. But we were both mistaken. It was not he. "What are you afraid of? Why did you stop holding my hand?" she said as she gave it to me again. "Well, what's the matter? We'll meet him together. I want him to see that we love each other." "That we love each other?" I cried. "Oh, Nastinka, Nastinka," I thought to myself. "How much you've said with that one word. Such a love, Nastinka, at certain moments can make the heart grow cold and make one miserable. Your hand is cold. Mine is as hot as fire. How blind you are, Nastinka. Oh, how unbearable is the happy person at certain moments. But I couldn't be angry with you." Finally, my heart was overflowing. "Listen, Nastinka," I cried. "Do you know what I've been through today?" "Well, what? What is it? Tell me quickly. Why have you been silent all this time?" "First of all, Nastinka, when I'd carried out all your commissions, delivered the letter, visited your good people, then I returned home and went to bed." "Is that all?" she interrupted, laughing. "Yes, almost all. I answered reluctantly, because foolish tears were already welling up in my eyes. I woke up an hour before our meeting, but it was as if I hadn't slept. I don't know what was wrong with me. I was coming so that I could tell you all this, as if time had stopped for me, as if a certain sensation, a certain feeling were going to remain with me forever from this time forward, as if a single minute would continue through a whole eternity, and all life would come to a halt for me. When I woke up, it seemed to me that some sort of musical melody, long familiar, heard somewhere before, forgotten and sweet, was coming back to me. It seemed to me that all my life it had been begging to be released from my soul, and only now... Oh, my goodness, Nastinka interrupted. What is all this about? I don't understand a single word. Nastinka, I wanted somehow to convey this strange impression to you, I began in a plaintive voice, which still harboured hope, albeit a very remote one. Enough! Stop! Enough! She said, and in a single instant she figured out everything, the imp. Suddenly she became somehow unusually talkative, gay and mischievous. She took me by the hand, laughing. She wanted me to laugh as well, and each word of mine uttered in embarrassment was met with such ringing, such prolonged laughter. I began to get angry. She suddenly started playing the coquette. Listen, she began. I'm a bit disappointed, that you didn't fall in love with me. Just try and understand human nature after that. But still in all, Mr. Inflexible, you cannot but praise me for being such a simple girl. I tell you everything, no matter what sort of foolishness comes into my head. Listen. That's 11 o'clock, isn't it? I said, when the measured sound of the bell began to ring in the distant city tower. She suddenly stopped, left off laughing, and began to count. Yes, 11, she said at last in a timid, hesitant voice. I at once regretted that I'd frightened her, that I'd made her count the hours, and I cursed myself with a fit of spite. I felt sorry for her, and I didn't know how to atone for my transgression. I began to comfort her, to seek out reasons for his absence, to advance various arguments, proofs. Nobody could have been easier to deceive than she was at that moment. And indeed, at such a time, anyone would be happy to hear any sort of consolation whatsoever, and is made ever so happy by even the shadow of an excuse. And the whole thing's ridiculous, I began, becoming more and more excited and admiring the unusual clarity of my own arguments. And he couldn't have come. You've misled me and bewitched me, Nastinka, so that I've lost track of the time. Now just think, he's only just got the letter. Let's suppose that he can't come. Let's suppose that he'll send an answer, and the letter can come before tomorrow. I'll go as soon as it's light tomorrow and let you know at once. Consider, finally, that there are 1,000 possibilities. Well, he wasn't home when the letter arrived, and perhaps he still hasn't read it. Anything might have happened. Yes, Nastinka answered. I didn't think of that. Of course, anything might have happened, she continued in her most compliant voice, in which, however, one could hear some other remote thought, like an annoying dissonance. Here's what you'll do, she continued. You go as early as possible tomorrow, and if you get anything, you'll let me know at once. You do know where I live, don't you? And she began to repeat her address for me. Then she suddenly became so tender, so timid with me. She seemed to be listening attentively to what I was saying to her, but when I addressed a question to her, she remained silent, got confused, and turned her head away from me. I looked her in the eyes. I was right. She was crying. No, how can you? You're such a child. What childishness? Enough. She made an attempt to laugh, to calm herself, but her chin was trembling, and her chest was still heaving.
What is this?
I was thinking about you, she said to me after a minute's silence. You're so kind that I would have to be made of stone not to feel it. Do you know what just occurred to me? I was comparing the two of you. Why isn't he you? Why isn't he like you? He's not as good as you, even though I love him more than you. I didn't see anything in reply. She seemed to be waiting for me to say something. Of course, perhaps I don't fully understand him yet, don't fully know him yet. I was always a bit afraid of him. He was always so serious. He seemed so proud. Of course, I know that he only looks like that there is more tenderness in his heart than there is in mine. I remember how he looked at me then, when you remember, came to him with my bundle. But all the same, I respect him too much. And doesn't that mean that we're not equals? No, Nastinka, no, I answered. That means that you love him more than anything in the world. And a good deal more than you love yourself. Yes, I suppose that's so.
Yeah.
But do you know what just occurred to me? Only, I'm not going to talk about him now, but just in general, all of this occurred to me long ago. Listen, why is it that we aren't all like brothers to one another? Why is it that the very best person is always hiding something from other people and is quiet about it? Why not say frankly and immediately what's in your heart? If you know that you're not speaking idly, as it is, everyone looks more severe than they actually are. as though they're all afraid their feelings will be hurt if they reveal them too soon. Nastinka, what you say is true, and you see, there are many reasons for it, I interrupted, reining in my feelings at that moment more than I've ever done before. No, she answered with deep feeling. No, you, for example, aren't like other people. I really don't know how to tell you what I'm feeling, but it seems to me that you, for example, even now, it seems that you're sacrificing something for me, she added timidly, with a fleeting glance at me. You'll forgive me for putting it like that. You see, I'm a simple girl. You see, I've seen very little of the world so far, and really at times I don't know how to talk, she added in a voice that was trembling with some sort of hidden feeling, and meanwhile trying to smile. But I only wanted to tell you that I'm grateful that I feel all this as well. Oh, may God grant you happiness for this. Now then, everything that you told me then about your dreamer is absolutely untrue. That is, I wish to say that it doesn't have anything to do with you. You're getting better. You really are a completely different person from the one you described. If you ever fall in love, then may God grant you happiness with her. But I won't wish her anything, because she will be happy with you. I know. I'm a woman myself.
अच्छा
And you must believe me when I tell you...
अभी
She
बताएगा
fell silent and firmly squeezed my hand.
बोलने दिया नहीं बेचारा अपने प्यार
I couldn't say anything either because of the emotion. Several minutes passed. Yes, clearly he won't come today, she said, finally raising her head. It's late. He'll come tomorrow, I said in a most convincing and firm voice. Yes, she added, having cheered up some. I now see myself that he won't come until tomorrow. Well then, goodbye. Until tomorrow. If it rains, then I might not come, but the day after tomorrow I'll come. I'll come without fail, no matter what. You be here without fail. I want to see you. I'll tell you everything. And later, as we were saying goodbye, she gave me her hand and said, looking at me brightly, You see, now we'll always be together. Isn't that so? Oh, Nastinka, Nastinka. If only you knew how lonely I am now. When it struck 9 o'clock, I couldn't stay put in my room. I got dressed and went out despite the foul weather. I was there, sitting on our bench. I started to walk down their lane, but I felt ashamed and I turned back without having a look at their windows when I was just a few steps away from their house. I came home more depressed than I had ever been. What a damp, boring time. If the weather had been fine, I would have walked about there all night long. But until tomorrow, tomorrow she will tell me everything. However, there was no letter today. But that was to be expected. They're together by now. The fourth night. My God,
चौथी रात
how it has all come to an end. What an ending to all of this. I arrived at 9 o'clock. She was already there. I caught sight of her when I was still quite a distance away. She was standing like she had been then, that first time, with her elbows leaning on the railing of the embankment, and didn't hear me approach. Nastinka! I called out to her, making a tremendous effort to suppress my agitation. She quickly turned around towards me. Well, she said. Well, quickly now. I looked at her in bewilderment. Well, where's the letter? Did you bring the letter? She repeated, clutching the railing with her hand. No, I don't have a letter, I said finally. Has he really not come to see you yet? She turned terribly pale, and for a long time looked at me without moving. I'd shattered her last hope. Well, good luck to him, she uttered finally in a breaking voice. Good luck to him. If he's going to leave me like that... She lowered her eyes, then wanted to look at me, but she couldn't. For several more minutes she kept her agitation in check, but suddenly she turned away, leaned her elbows on the balustrade of the embankment, and burst into tears. Enough! Enough! I began. As I looked at her, I didn't have the strength to continue, and what could I have said? Don't try to comfort me, she said, weeping. Don't talk about him. Don't say that he will come, that he wouldn't abandon me so cruelly, so inhumanly, as he has done. What for? What for? Can it really be that there was something in my letter, in that wretched letter? Here her voice was broken by sobs. My heart was breaking as I looked at her. Oh, how cruelly inhuman it is, she began again. And not a line, not a line. He could at least have answered that he didn't need me, that he was rejecting me, but not a single line in 3 whole days. How easy it is for him to wound, to insult a poor defenceless girl whose only fault is that she loves him. But what I've endured these 3 days. My God, when I recall that I went to him the first time myself, that I humbled myself before him, wept, that I begged him for just the tiniest smidgen of love. And after that... Listen, she began as she turned to me, and her black eyes began to flash. This cannot be. It simply cannot be like this. It's unnatural. Either you or I have been deceived. Maybe he didn't get the letter. Perhaps he still doesn't know anything. How is it possible? Judge for yourself. How is it possible to behave so barbarously and so coarsely as he has towards me? Not a single word. But the lowliest man on earth is treated with more compassion. Perhaps he heard something. Perhaps somebody said something about me, she cried out, turning to me with a question. What? What do you think? Listen, Nastyenka, tomorrow I'll go and see him in your name. Yes? I'll ask him about everything. I'll tell him everything. Yes. You write a letter. Don't say no, Nastyenka, don't say no. I'll make him respect your action. He'll learn everything. And if... No, my friend, no, she interrupted. Enough. Not another word. Not another word from me, not a line. Enough. I don't know him. I don't love him anymore. I will forget him. She didn't finish. Calm yourself. Calm yourself. Sit here, Nastyenka, I said, as I seated her on the bench. But I am calm. Enough. It's nothing. Just tears. They'll dry. Do you think they'll do away with myself? They'll drown myself. My heart was full. I wanted to say something, but couldn't. Listen, she continued, taking me by the hand. Tell me, would you have acted like this? Would you have abandoned a girl who came to you on her own? Would you have thrown in her face a shameless jeer at her weak, foolish heart? Would you have looked after her? Would you have understood that she was all alone? That she didn't know how to take care of herself? That she didn't know how to protect herself from loving you? That it wasn't her fault? That finally it wasn't her fault? That she'd done nothing? Oh my God! My God! Nastyenka, I cried out finally, unable to control my agitation. Nastyenka, you're tearing me apart. You're breaking my heart. You're killing me, Nastyenka. I cannot be silent. I must finally speak and tell you what has been welling up here in my heart. As I said this, I got up from the bench. She took me by the hand and looked at me in surprise. What is it? She uttered finally. Listen, I said resolutely. Listen to me, Nastyenka. What I'm about to say is all nonsense, all impossible or silly. I know that it can never happen, but I cannot remain silent. In the name of all that you are suffering now, I beg of you beforehand to forgive me. Well, what? What is it? She said, having stopped crying and looking at me intently, while a strange curiosity shone in her astonished eyes. What is it? It's impossible, but I love you, Nastyenka. That's what it is. Well, now everything's been said, I said with a wave of my hand. Now you will see whether you can talk with me as you were just talking, whether finally you can listen to what I'm going to say. Well, what of it? What of it? Nastyenka interrupted. What of it? Well, I knew long ago that you loved me. Only it always seemed to me that you loved me simply, in a different way. Oh my God, my God. In the beginning it was simple, Nastyenka, but now... I'm in exactly the same position as you were when you went to him with your bundle. Worse than you, Nastyenka, because he didn't love someone then, but you do. What is it you're saying to me? I truly don't understand you at all. But listen here, why ever, that is... Not why, but what reason do you have for so sudden... Oh my God, I'm talking nonsense, but you... And Nastyenka became thoroughly confused. Her cheeks were flushed. She lowered her eyes. What's to be done, Nastyenka? What am I to do? I'm to blame. I abused your... No, I'm not to blame, Nastyenka. I know it. I feel it. Because my heart tells me that I'm right. Because I cannot hurt you. I cannot offend you. I was your friend. Well, and that is what I am now. I betrayed nothing. You see, now it's me whose tears are streaming down, Nastyenka. Let them stream. Let them stream. They won't bother anybody. They will dry, Nastyenka. But sit down. Do sit down, she said as she was seating me on the bench. Oh my God. No, Nastyenka, I won't sit down. I can't stay here any longer. You won't see me anymore. I'll say everything and leave. I only want to say that you would never have learned that I love you. I would have buried my secret. I would not have tormented you at this moment with my egoism. No, but I couldn't bear it any longer now. You spoke of it yourself. You were to blame. You were to blame for all this, not me. You can't drive me away from you. No, of course not. No, I'm not driving you off. No, Nastyenka said, concealing, as best she could, her embarrassment, the poor thing. You're not driving me away. No, but I was going to run away from you myself, and I will leave as soon as I tell you everything from the beginning, because when you were talking just now, I couldn't sit still when you were crying just now, when you were suffering, because, I'll say it, Nastyenka, because you were rejected, because your love had been spurned. I felt in my heart that there was so much love for you, Nastyenka. So much love. Okay. And I was so sorry that I couldn't help you with this love, that my heart was breaking, and I could not be silent. I had to speak, Nastyenka, I had to speak. Yes, speak to me like that, Nastyenka said with an inexplicable gesture. It might seem strange to you that I'm speaking to you like this, but speak. I'll tell you later. I'll tell you everything. You feel sorry for me, Nastyenka. You simply feel sorry for me, my little friend. What's done is done. What's said can't be taken back. Isn't that so? Well, now you know everything. Well, that's the starting point. Well, all right. Everything's fine now. Only listen. When you were sitting and crying, I was thinking to myself, let me tell you what I was thinking. I was thinking that, well, of course this can never be, Nastyenka. I was thinking that you somehow, well, that you quite on your own had stopped loving him, then, I was thinking this yesterday and the day before yesterday, Nastinka, then I would certainly have made you fall in love with me. You said, you were saying yourself, Nastinka, that you had almost fallen in love with me. Well, what else? Well, that's almost everything I wanted to say. It remains only to say what it would have been like if you had fallen in love with me. Only that, nothing more. Listen then, my friend, because you are still my friend. Of course, I'm a simple person, poor and insignificant. Only that's not the point. Somehow I keep talking about the wrong things. That's because I'm embarrassed, Nastinka. But only I would love you so. I would love you so that even if you still loved him and continued to love this person whom I don't know, you still would not find my love to be a burden to you in any way. You would only sense at every moment that next to you beats a grateful heart. An ardent heart. Which, for your sake... Oh, Nastinka, what have you done to me? Now don't cry. I don't want you to cry, Nastinka said, quickly getting up from the bench. Come along, get up. Come with me. Don't cry, she kept saying, as she wiped away my tears with her handkerchief. Well, come along now. Perhaps I'll tell you something.
Acha.
Yes, if he has abandoned me now, if he has forgotten me, even though I still love him, I don't wish to deceive you. But listen, answer me. If, for example, I were to love you, that is, if only I...
Hypothetical
my
game.
My friend, when I think how I insulted you then, when I laughed at your love, when I praised you for not falling in love. Oh my God, how did I not foresee it? How did I not foresee this? How could I have been so stupid? But,
Definition of Mahila.
I've made up my mind. I'll tell you everything. Listen, Nastinka, do you know what? I'll go away, that's what. I'm simply tormenting you. Now you have pangs of remorse because you made fun of me, but I don't want you, in addition to your sorrow. Of course I'm to blame, Nastinka, but goodbye. Stop. Hear me out. Can you wait? Wait for what? Why? I love him, but that will pass. It must pass. It cannot but pass. It's already passing. I can sense it. Who knows? Perhaps it will even end today. Because I hate him. Because he's had a good laugh at my expense while you were crying here with me because you didn't reject me like he did. Because you love me and he didn't love me because, finally, I love you myself. Yes, I love as you love me. You know, I myself even said so to you. You heard it yourself. Because I love that you are better than he is. Because you are nobler than he is. Because he... The poor girl's agitation was so intense that she didn't finish. She put her head on my shoulder, then on my chest, and burst into bitter tears. I comforted her, tried to bring her round, but she couldn't stop. She kept squeezing my hand and saying between sobs, Wait, I'll stop in just a minute. I want to tell you, don't think that these tears... It's just weakness. Wait until it passes. Finally she stopped, wiped away her tears, and we set off walking once again. I wanted to speak, but for a long time yet she kept asking me to wait. We fell silent. Finally, she plucked up her courage and began to speak. Now listen to me, she began in a weak and trembling voice, but one in which there was a ring of something that pierced right through my heart and began to ache there sweetly. Don't think that I am so fickle and flighty. Don't think that I can so easily and quickly forget and be untrue. I loved him for a whole year, and I swear to God that never was I unfaithful to him, even in thought. He disdained this. He had a good laugh at my expense. Good luck to him. But he wounded me and insulted my heart. I do not love him, because I can love only that which is magnanimous, which understands me, which is noble, because I am like that myself, and he is not worthy of me. Well, good luck to him. It's better that he disappoint me now than for me to learn what he's like later on. Well, of course. Who knows? My dear friend, she continued, squeezing my hand. Who knows, perhaps all my love amounted to nothing more than my feelings and imagination.
Okay.
Just my imagination. Perhaps it began as a prank, or foolishness, or because I was under grandmother's watch. Perhaps I ought to love someone else. Another, and not him. Not a man like him, but someone who would take pity on me and... Well, let's leave it at that. Nastinka broke off, choked with emotion. I only wanted to say to you... I wanted to say that if, despite the fact that I loved him, if despite that, you will still say, if you feel that your love is so great that it may in the end drive out from my heart the former, if you wish to take pity on me, if you don't wish to leave me alone to my fate, without consolation, without hope, if you wish to love me always as you now love me, then And I swear that gratitude, that my love, will in the end be worthy of your love. Will you take my hand now? Nastyenka, I cried out, choking with sobs. Nastyenka. Oh, Nastyenka. Well, enough. Well, now that's certainly enough, she said, hardly able to control herself. Well, now, everything has been said. Isn't that right? Isn't that so? Well, and you're happy, and I'm happy. Not another word more about this. Wait, spare me. Talk about something else, for God's sake. Yes, Nastyenka, yes, enough about that. Now I'm happy. Well, Nastyenka, well, let's talk about something else. Quickly, yes, quickly, let's talk about something else. Yes, I'm ready. And we didn't know what to say. We laughed, we cried, we said thousands of words without rhyme or reason. We first walked along the sidewalk, then suddenly we turned back and crossed the street. Then we stopped and began to cross over to the embankment. We were like children. I live alone now, Nastyenka, I said, but tomorrow... Well, of course, I'm poor, you know, Nastyenka, I only have 1,200 rubles, but that doesn't matter. Of course not. And grandmother has her pension, so she won't be a burden to us. We must take grandmother. Of course, we must take grandmother. Only there's Matrona. Oh, and we have Fyokla as well. Matrona is a good woman, only she has one fault. She doesn't have any imagination, Nastyenka. Absolutely no imagination whatsoever. But that doesn't matter. It doesn't make any difference. They can both live together. Only you must move to our house tomorrow. What did you say? To your house? Fine. I'm ready. Yes, you'll rent from us. We have an attic upstairs. It's empty. There was a lodger, an old woman, a noble woman. She's moved out. And grandmother, I know, wants to rent it to a young man. I said, why exactly a young man? And she says, just because I'm old now, but just don't you start thinking, Nastyenka, that I want to marry you off to him. So I guess that it was for that very reason. Oh, Nastyenka. And we both laughed. Well, enough of that. Enough. But where is it that you live? I've forgotten. Over there, by Msonsowski Bridge, in Baranikov's building. Is it that big house? Yes, the big house. Oh, I know it. It's a good house. Only you must leave it, you know, and move in with us as soon as possible. Tomorrow, then, Nastyenka, tomorrow. I owe a bit for my apartment, but that doesn't matter. I'll receive my salary soon. And, you know, perhaps I can give lessons? I'll learn something myself, and then I'll give lessons. Well, now that's wonderful. And I'll get my bonus soon, Nastyenka. So then, tomorrow you'll be my lodger. Yes, and we'll go see the Barber of Seville, because they're going to put it on again soon. Yes, let's go, Nastyenka said, smiling. No, it would be better to see something else, and not the barber. Well, fine, something else, of course. That would be better. What was I thinking? As we said this, we were both walking in some kind of stupor, in a haze, as if we didn't know ourselves what was happening to us. One moment we would stop and talk for a long time without moving. Then we would start walking again, and God only knows where we ended up. And then laughter again, and then tears. Then Nastyenka would suddenly want to go home, and I didn't dare keep her and wanted to see her home. We would set off. And a quarter of an hour later, we would find ourselves on the embankment by our bench. Then she would sigh, and once again her eyes would well up with tears. I would turn timid, and then feel a chill. But she would immediately squeeze my hand and drag me off to walk, to chatter, to talk. It's time now. It's time for me to go home. I think it must be quite late, Nastyenka said at last. We've been behaving like children long enough. Yes, Nastyenka, only I won't fall asleep now. I won't go home. I don't think I'll sleep either. Just see me home. Absolutely. Only this time we absolutely must walk all the way to the apartment. Absolutely, absolutely. Word of honour? Because you see, I must return home at some point. Word of honour, I answered, laughing. Well, let's go. Let's go. Look at the sky, Nastyenka. Look. Tomorrow will be a wonderful day. What a blue sky. What a moon. Look. See how that yellow cloud is beginning to hide it from view? Look, look. No, it's passed by. Look now. Look. But Nastyenka wasn't looking at the cloud. She stood speechless, rooted to the ground. A minute later she began somewhat timidly clinging to me tightly. Her hand began to tremble in my hand. I glanced at her. She pressed against me more tightly still. At that moment, a young man walked past us. He suddenly stopped, looked at us intently, and then took several steps. My heart began to quiver. Nastyenka, I said in a hushed voice. Who is that, Nastyenka? It's him, she answered in a whisper, clinging to me even more tightly and more timidly. I could barely keep standing on my own 2 feet. Nastyenka! Nastyenka, it's you! We heard a voice behind us, and at that moment the young man took several steps towards us. My God, what a cry! How she shuddered! How she tore herself from my arms and flew to meet him. I stood and watched him, crushed. But she had scarcely given him her hand, had scarcely thrown herself into his embrace, when she suddenly turned to me again, and was at my side in a flash like the wind. and before I had a chance to collect myself, she flung both arms around my neck and kissed me firmly, ardently. Then, without saying a word to me, she rushed to him again, took him by the hand, and led him away. I stood for a long time and watched them walk away.
ये क्या
Finally,
हुआ?
both of them vanished from sight. Morning. My nights ended with the morning. It was a dreadful day.
Nice one.
The rain beat down on my windows cheerlessly. It was dark in the room. It was overcast outside. My head ached and was spinning. Fever was stealing its way through my limbs. "A letter for you, sir. It came by the city post. The postman brought it," Matrona said, hovering over me.
A
letter? From whom? I cried out, jumping up from my chair. "Well, I wouldn't know, sir. Have a look. Maybe it's written down there who it's from." I broke the seal. It was from her. "Oh, forgive me," Nastinka wrote me. "I beg you on my knees to forgive me. I deceived both you and myself. It was a dream, a phantom. I have suffered torments about you today. Forgive me. Don't blame me, because I haven't changed in the least towards you. I said that I would love you, and I love you now. I more than love you. Oh my God, if only I could love you both at the same time. Oh, if only you were he." "Oh, if only he were you," flashed through my mind. I remembered your words, Nastinka. God knows what I would do for you now. I know that you're miserable and sad. I have hurt you, but you know, when one loves, an injury is soon forgotten. And you love me. Thank you. Yes, thank you for that love, because it is stamped on my memory like a sweet dream that you remember long after waking up. Because I will forever remember that moment when you opened up your heart to me like a brother and so generously accepted the gift of my shattered heart to protect, cherish, and heal it. If you forgive me, then the memory of you will be exalted in me by a feeling of eternal gratitude to you that will never quit my heart. I will keep that memory alive. I will be true to it. I will not betray it. I will not betray my heart. It is too constant. It returned so quickly yesterday to him to whom it had always belonged. We will meet. You will visit us. You will not abandon us. You will always be a friend, my brother. And when you see me, you will give me your hand. Won't you? You will give it to me. You have forgiven me, isn't that so? Do you love me as you did before? Oh, love me. Don't leave me. Because I love you so at this moment. Because I am worthy of your love. Because I will deserve it. My dear friend. Next week I am to be married to him. He returned in love with me. He never forgot me. You won't be angry that I've written about him, but I want to come and see you with him. You will love him, won't you? Forgive me. Remember and love your Nastinka. I read that letter over and over again for a long time. The tears welled up in my eyes. At last, it fell out of my hands, and I covered my face with my hands. Dearie, come now, dearie, Matriona began. What is it, old woman? I got all the cobwebs off the ceiling. Now you can get married. Or invite some guests. It's just the time for it. I looked at Matriona. She was still a hale and hearty, young old woman, but I don't know why suddenly I pictured her with a vacant stare, wrinkled face, stooped, decrepit. I don't know why, but I suddenly pictured that my room had aged as much as the old woman. The walls and floors were faded. Everything had become dingy, and the cobwebs had multiplied so there were more than ever before. I don't know why. When I glanced out the window, it seemed to me that the house opposite had also become decrepit and dingy, that the plasterwork on the columns was peeling and crumbling, that the cornices had turned black and were cracked, and that the walls, which had been painted a bright, deep yellow, had become patchy. Either a ray of sunshine, after suddenly peeping out from behind a cloud, had again hidden behind a rain cloud, and everything had darkened again before my eyes,
Metaphorical.
or perhaps the whole vista of my future had flashed before me so bleakly and so sadly, and I saw myself just as I am now, exactly 15 years later, only older, in the same room, just as lonely,
Done.
with the same Matrona, who hasn't grown any wiser in all those years. But that I should nurse a grudge, Nastinka, that I should cast a dark cloud over your bright, serene happiness,
अब ये फिर
that
आशिक
I,
बनेगा.
with bitter reproaches, should cast pangs of anguish on your heart, wound it with secret remorse, and force it to beat with anguish at the moment of bliss? That I would crush even one of those delicate flowers that you plaited into your black curls when you walked together with him to the altar? Oh, never. Never. May your sky be clear.
May my sky
May
be
your
clear.
sweet smile be bright and serene. May you be blessed for that moment of bliss
May
and
I be
happiness
blessed.
that you gave to another lonely, grateful heart. My God. A whole minute of bliss? Is that really so little? For the whole of a man's life? Babuk. This time I'm submitting the notes of a certain person. It is not I. It is by an altogether different person.
अब इसको
I
चेंज
think
करो
nothing
बे.
more in the way of an introduction is necessary.
The notes of a certain person. The day before yesterday, Semyon Ardalyonovich suddenly comes out with, "And would you kindly tell me, Ivan Ivanitch, will the day come when you'll be sober?" Strange request. I don't take offence, I'm a shy person, but just the same, they've gone and made me out to be a madman. An artist happened to paint my portrait.
Babuk. This time I'm submitting the notes of a certain person. It is not I. It is by an altogether different person. I think nothing more in the way of an introduction is necessary.
रुक जा भाई रुक जा.
The notes of a certain person.
बुक एक शॉर्ट स्टोरी है, इसके जस्ट बात कंटिन्यू होती है, तो मेरे पास इट गेट्स ओवर हियर, इसमें नहीं है बुक. द बुक इज ओवर, बट उसने एक शॉर्ट स्टोरी फ्री में डाल दी है. हमारे नाश्तिका के आशिक जो है हमारे, उनकी कहानी खत्म हो चुकी है. वो बुक पीडीएफ इसको भी दे के आते हैं, कोई टेंशन नहीं है. बट बुक का भी एक गम भरा कहानी सुन लेते हैं. जी ऐसा वीडियो पास नाश्तिका का आशिक. कितनी बड़ी है, आधे घंटे की है ना यार, मजा आएगा. पर बुक मैंने भी नहीं पढ़ी, बुक नहीं पढ़ी. चालू कहाँ से किया?
Babuk. This time I'm submitting the notes of a certain person. It is not I. It is by an altogether different person. I think nothing more in the way of an introduction is necessary.
The notes of a certain person. The day before yesterday, Semyon Ardalyonovich suddenly comes out with, "And would you kindly..."
ये नहीं है, एक सेकंड ढूंढ रहा हूँ. तो है ही, मैं तो क्या टेंशन की बोल रहा हूँ.
"Tell me, Ivan Ivanitch, will the day come when you'll be sober?" Strange request. I don't...
मिल गया. दो मिनट आया दोस्तों. तेरे तो मेरी ना इवान का आशिक बना फिरा, लोग बने फिरे कुछ ना तेरा What up, niggas? पहले तो एक नीगा नहीं है तेरे स्ट्रीम में, एक नीगा तो हाजिर है, एक नीगा नहीं आ रहा है। भाई क्या हो रहा है भाई, नीगा क्यों नहीं आ रहा है मेरे स्ट्रीम में? अबे साले नीगा मत बोला कर, मार खाएगा। मारे भाई, कोई तो मार। एक सेकंड दोस्तों, गाली कौन नहीं देता? गाली कौन नहीं देता? What up?
I don't take offence, I'm a shy person, but just the same, they've gone and made me out to be a madman. An artist happened to paint my portrait. After all, he says, you're a literary man. I acquiesced, and he exhibited it. I read, go take a look at this sickly face that is on the verge of madness. Even if my face is like that, really, how can one be so direct in print? In print, everything should be noble. There should be ideals, but here... At the very least, say it indirectly. That's what you have style for. No, he doesn't want to do it indirectly. Nowadays, humour and good style are disappearing, and swear words are taken for wit. I'm not offended. I'm not some God-knows-what kind of fancy man of letters to lose my mind over something like that. I wrote a story. It wasn't published. I wrote a feuilleton. It was rejected. I took a lot of these feuilletons around to different publishers and was rejected everywhere. You don't have enough salt, they told me. What kind of salt do you want? I asked with scorn. Attic salt? He doesn't even understand. For the most part, I translate from French for the booksellers, and I write advertisements for the merchants. A rare treat, fine tea, I write, from our own plantations. I made a bundle on a panegyric for His Excellency, the late Pyotr Matveyevich. I was commissioned by a bookseller to compile The Art of Pleasing the Ladies. I put out about 6 books like this in my lifetime. I want to collect Voltaire's bon mots, but I'm afraid that they'll seem a bit flat to people here. Who needs Voltaire now? These days it's a cudgel you need, not Voltaire. We've knocked out each other's teeth, every last one. Well, that's the whole extent of my literary endeavours. Although I do dispatch letters to the editorial offices free of charge, signed with my name in full. I give advice and make recommendations. I offer criticism and point out the proper path. Last week, I sent my 40th letter in 2 years to a certain editorial office. I've spent 4 rubles on stamps alone. I have a nasty temper, that's what it is. I think the painter did my portrait, not for the sake of literature, but for the sake of the 2 symmetrical warts on my forehead. It's a phenomenon, he says. They don't have any ideas, so now they resort to phenomena. Well, and what a fine job he did of capturing my warts in the portrait. They're lifelike. That's what they call realism. And as far as madness is concerned, last year a lot of people were put down as mad, and with such style. Such an original talent, they say. And then, towards the end, it turned out that, however, this should have been foreseen long ago. This is still rather ingenious, so that one might even praise it from the point of view of pure art. Well, and then, suddenly, these madmen came back even smarter. There you are. We know how to drive people out of their minds, but we've never made anyone smarter. In my opinion, the one who's smarter than all the rest is the one who calls himself a fool at least once a month. An unheard of talent nowadays. Before, a fool knew once a year at the very least that he was a fool. But now, nothing doing. And they've muddled things so that you can't tell a fool from an intelligent person. They do this on purpose. I'm reminded of a Spanish witticism, when 2.5 centuries ago the French built the first madhouse. They locked up all their fools in a special building to reassure themselves that they're the sane ones. But really, locking somebody else up in a madhouse doesn't prove that you have brains. Kay lost his mind? That means we are sane? No, that isn't what that means. However, what the devil? And why am I fussing about my brains? I grumble and grumble. Even the servant girl is tired of it. Yesterday, a friend dropped by. Your style is changing, he says. It's choppy. You chop and chop, and then you've got a parenthetic clause, then you pile on another parenthetic clause, and then you stick something else in parentheses, and then you start chopping and chopping again. My friend's right. Something strange is happening to me, and my character is changing, and my head aches. I'm beginning to see and hear certain strange things. Not exactly voices, but it's as if someone were right beside me, saying, Babuk, Babuk, Babuk. What is this Babuk? I need some diversion. I went out in search of diversion and ended up at a funeral. A distant relative. A collegiate counsellor, however. A widow, 5 daughters, all young. What it must come to, just for shoes alone. The deceased managed, but now there's only a little pension. They'll have their tails between their legs. I'd always been given a less than hearty welcome, and I wouldn't have gone now if it hadn't been such a special occasion. I took part in the procession to the cemetery along with the others. They kept their distance and put on airs. My uniform, indeed, is in pretty bad shape. It's been about 25 years, I think, since I've been to the cemetery. There's a nice little place for you. First of all, the smell. About 15 corpses had arrived, palls of various prices. There were even 2 catafalques, one for a general and one for some lady. There are a lot of mournful faces, and a lot of bogus mourning as well, and even a lot of undisguised gaiety. The clergy can't complain. It's money. But the smell. The smell. I wouldn't want to be one of the local ecclesiastics.
cemetery का description को रोक दे जाएंगे अपन cemetery में वापस एक सेकंड ठंड पाप उतर shade of being light hearted or gate gating means celebration party bancho full party karo festivity bring it on motherfuckers let's go
I took a cautious look at the corpses, not having confidence in controlling my impressionability. There were some gentle expressions, but there were unpleasant ones as well. Generally the smiles weren't very nice, and some were quite far from nice. I don't like them. I'll have dreams about them. During the service, I walked out of the church for some air. It was a greyish day, but dry. It was cold as well. Well, it is October after all. I walked for a bit among the graves. There are various classes. The 3rd class costs 30 rubles, decent and not too expensive. The first 2 classes are inside the church and under the church porch. Well, they charge an arm and a leg for those. This time there were 6 third-class burials, including the general and the lady. I glanced in the graves. It was terrible. Water, and what water. It was absolutely green and... well, let's leave it at that. The gravedigger was constantly bailing it out with a bucket. As the service was still going on, I strolled outside the gates. There's an almshouse right there, and a bit further on, there's a restaurant. The little restaurant wasn't bad, fair to middling, then you can get a bite to eat and everything. It was packed with mourners. I noticed a good deal of merrymaking and heartfelt liveliness. I had a bite to eat and something to drink. Later, I took part with my own hands in bearing the coffin from the church to the grave. Why is it that corpses are so heavy in their coffins? They say that it's because of some sort of inertia, that the body is no longer in control of itself, or some such nonsense. It contradicts mechanics and common sense. I don't like it when people with only a general education rush in to solve problems best left to specialists, and that happens all the time among us. Civilians like to have opinions on military matters, even those that concern a field marshal, while people educated as engineers, more often than not, have opinions on philosophy and political economy. I didn't go to the prayer service. I'm proud, and if I'm only to be received out of dire necessity, then why should I trail along to their dinners, even if it is a funeral dinner? Only, I don't understand why I stayed on at the cemetery. I sat down on a monument and became suitably thoughtful. I began with the Moscow exhibition and ended with the subject of astonishment in general. Here's what I came up with about astonishment. To be astonished at everything, of course, is silly, while to be astonished at nothing is much more handsome, and for some reason is recognised as good form. But surely it's not like that in reality. In my opinion, it's much sillier to be astonished at nothing than to be astonished at everything. And what's more, to be astonished at nothing is almost the same thing as to respect nothing, and a silly man is not capable of showing respect. And above all, I want to feel respect. I thirst to feel respect, an acquaintance of mine said to me on one occasion recently. He thirsts to feel respect. And my God, I thought, what would become of you if you dared to print that now? And that's when I started daydreaming. I don't like reading the inscriptions on gravestones. It's forever the same thing. A half-eaten sandwich lay on the gravestone next to me. It was silly and out of place. I threw it on the ground, since it wasn't bread, but just a sandwich. However, dropping breadcrumbs on the ground isn't a sin, it seems. It's when it's on the floor that it's a sin. I should look it up in Savorin's calendar. One might suppose that I'd been sitting there for a long time, even too long. That is, I even lay down on a long stone in the shape of a marble coffin. And how did it happen that I suddenly began to hear various things? At first, I didn't pay any attention and regarded it with disdain. However, the conversation continued. I listened. The sounds were muffled, as though they had pillows covering their mouths, and yet they were intelligible and very near. I roused myself, sat up, and began to listen carefully.
Okay.
Your Excellency, this is simply impossible, sir. You declared hearts, I'm following your lead, and suddenly you have the 7 of diamonds. We should have made arrangements about diamonds earlier, sir. What's that? You mean we should play by rote? Where's the attraction in that? You can't, Your Excellency. You can't play without rules. We absolutely must have a dummy, and the cards must be dealt face down. Well, you won't find a dummy here. What arrogant words, however. Both strange and unexpected. One voice was so weighty and dignified, while the other seemed softly honeyed. I wouldn't have believed it if I hadn't heard it myself. I didn't think I was at the prayer service, and yet how was it that they're playing preference here? And who was this general? That it was coming from under the gravestone, there could be no doubt. I bent down and read the inscription on the tombstone. Here lies the body of Major General Pereveyedov, knight of such and such orders. Passed away in August of the year 57. Rest, dear ashes, until the joyful morn. The devil, he really is a general. There wasn't a tombstone yet on the other grave, the one the ingratiating voice came from. There was only a stone slab. Must be a newcomer. Judging by his voice, he was a court councillor. An altogether different voice could be heard coming from a quite new grave some dozen yards away from the general spot. It belonged to a man of the common people, but modulated to an obsequiously pious manner. Oh, he's hiccuping again, suddenly resounded the squeamish and haughty voice of an irritated lady who seemed to be from the highest society. My punishment is to lie next to this shopkeeper. No, I didn't hiccup at all, and I haven't taken any food. It's simply my nature. And still in all, my lady, these whims of yours just won't let you settle down here. So why did you have to lie down here? They put me here. My wife and the little ones put me here. I didn't lie down here myself. Ugh, the mysteries of death. And I wouldn't have lain down next to you for anything, not for all the money in the world. But my own capital got me my place here, reckoning by the price, madam. For we can always do that. I mean, put enough aside for our own third-class grave. You made a bundle, cheated people. How could we cheat you, when it seems there's been no payment from you since January? We got a little bill in your name at the shop. Well, now that's silly. In my opinion, it's very silly to look to have debts settled here. Go upstairs, ask my niece, she's my heir. But who can I ask now, and where can I go? We have both reached the end, and before the judgment seat of God, we are equal in our trespasses. In our trespasses? The dead woman mimicked disdainfully. And don't you dare speak another word to me. The shopkeeper nevertheless obeys the lady, Your Excellency. And why shouldn't he obey? Well, Your Excellency, as you know, there's a new order here. What new order is that? Well, you see, we're dead, so to speak, Your Excellency. Ah, yes, but still, there's order. Well, haven't they done us a favour? What a comfort. If it's already reached this point here, then why bother questioning what it's like upstairs? And how they carry on. However, I continued listening, though with extreme indignation. No, I would have lived a bit longer. No, I would have lived a bit. A new voice suddenly made itself heard from somewhere between the general and the irritable lady. Do you hear, Your Excellency? Our friend is at it again. He's quiet as can be for 3 days, and then suddenly, I would have lived a bit. Yes, I would have lived a bit. And, with such an appetite. And with such thoughtlessness. He can't help it, Your Excellency. And, he falls asleep. He's already fast asleep. After all, he's been here since April, you see, and then suddenly, I would have lived a bit. On the boring side, though. His Excellency observed. On the boring side, Your Excellency. Perhaps we should tease Avdotia Ignatievna again. Please don't. Spare me that. I can't stand that quick-tempered crybaby. And I, for that matter, can't stand the two of you either, the crybaby answered contemptuously. You're both incredible bores, and you don't know how to talk about the ideal. I know a little story about you, Your Excellency. Don't flatter yourself. About how a servant swept you out with a broom from under a certain married couple's bed one morning. Nasty woman, the general muttered through clenched teeth. Dear Avdotia Ignatievna, the shopkeeper cried out again suddenly. My dear lady, tell me, and don't hold it against me. Am I in the torments now, or is something else happening? Ah, he's back on the same thing again. I had a feeling he would be, because there's a smell coming from him. A smell from his tossing and turning. I'm not tossing and turning, ma'am, and there's no particular smell coming from me, because I've still managed to preserve my body whole, while you, my lady, have really started to go bad. Because the smell indeed is unbearable, even for this place. I've kept quiet merely out of politeness. Ah, you and your nasty insults. He's the one who reeks, and he blames me. If only these 40 days would pass, I'd hear tearful voices above me, my wife wailing, and the children softly weeping. Well, what a thing to weep about. They'll stuff themselves with kutia and leave. Ah, if only somebody would wake up. Avdotia Ignatievna, the smooth-tongued official spoke up. Wait a little bit. The new ones will start talking. And are there any young people among them? Young people as well, Avdotia Ignatievna? There are even some young men. Ah, just what we need. What? Haven't they begun yet? His Excellency inquired. Even the ones from the day before yesterday haven't woken up yet, Your Excellency. You yourself know that sometimes they're quiet for a week. It's a good thing that yesterday and the day before and today they brought a whole lot all at once. Otherwise, you see, they're all from last year for 70 feet around. Yes, that should be interesting. Now, Your Excellency, today they buried Tarasievich, the actual Privy Councillor. I recognise the voices. I know his nephew who helped lower the coffin just now. Whereabout is he, then? About 5 paces away from you, Your Excellency, to the left. He's almost at your feet, sir. There's somebody you should get acquainted with, Your Excellency. No. I shouldn't be the first to make a move. But he'll do that, Your Excellency. He'll even be flattered. Leave it to me, Your Excellency, and I'll... what's happening to me? Somebody's frightened new little voice suddenly wheezed. It's a new one, Your Excellency. A new one, thank God, and so soon. Sometimes they're silent for a whole week. I believe it's a young man, Avdotia Ignatievna cried out. From complications, and so suddenly... The youth began to babble again. Just the day before, Schultz tells me you have complications, he says, and suddenly I up and die by the morning. Well, there's nothing to be done, young man, observed the general kindly, evidently delighted by the novice. You must console yourself. Welcome to our Vale of Jehoshaphat, so to speak. We're good people. You'll get to know us and appreciate us. Major General Vasily Vasilyev Pervoyedov, at your service. Oh, no, absolutely not, sir. I went to Schultz, you see. I had complications. First in my chest, and then a cough, and later I caught cold. The chest and the flu. And then suddenly, quite unexpectedly... It was quite unexpected. You say that it started in the chest? The official gently interjected, as if wishing to encourage the novice. Yes, the chest and phlegm, but then suddenly the phlegm and chest were gone, and I couldn't breathe. And, you know... I know. If it was the chest, you should have gone to Ecker, not to Schultz. But, you know, I kept meaning to go to Botkin, and suddenly... Well, but Botkin's unreasonable, the general observed. Oh, no, he's not at all unreasonable. I've heard that he's so attentive and will tell you everything in advance. His Excellency was referring to the price. The official set him straight. Oh, not at all. Just 3 rubles. And he examines you so well, and you get a prescription. I definitely wanted to, because I was told... So then, gentlemen, should I go see Ecker or Botkin? What? The general's corpse began to rock with pleasant laughter. The official followed suit in falsetto. Dear boy, dear delightful boy, how I love you, Avdotia Ignatievna cried out, beside herself. Now if only they'd put one like you next to me. No, I simply cannot countenance that. And this is the dead of today. However, I should listen some more and not jump to conclusions. This whimpering novice, I remember seeing him in his coffin earlier, wore the expression of a frightened chicken, the most revolting thing in the whole world. However, what's next? But what came next was such a muddled affair that I didn't manage to retain all of it in my memory, for a great many of them woke up all at once. An official woke up, a state councillor, and he began immediately discussing with the general the project of a new subcommittee in the Department of such and such affairs, and in connection with this, about the probable transfer of public servants, all of which the general found very, very entertaining. I confess that I also learned a lot that was new, so much so that I marvelled at the ways by which it is sometimes possible to come by government news in this capital. Then, an engineer half woke up, but for a long time afterwards muttered such absolute nonsense that our friends didn't bother him, but instead let him rest. Finally, the noble lady who had been buried under the catafalque that morning showed signs of sepulchral animation. Liviziatnikov, for the ingratiating court councillor whom I detested turned out to be named Liviziatnikov, was surprised and made a great deal of fuss that they were all waking up so soon this time. I confess I was surprised as well. However, some of those who woke up had been buried the day before yesterday. For example, a very young girl, about 16 years old, but who was all giggles. Disgusting and lustful giggles. Your Excellency, Privy Councillor Tarasievich is waking up, Liviziatnikov suddenly announced with extraordinary urgency.
Eh? What's that?
The suddenly awakened Privy Councillor mumbled demandingly in a lisping voice. His voice sounded both capricious and imperious. I listened with curiosity, for during these past few days I had heard something about this Tarasievich, something highly suggestive and alarming. It's me, Your Excellency, sir. So far, it's only me, sir.
What do you want? And how can I help you?
Merely to inquire after Your Excellency's health. Not being accustomed to the circumstances here, sir, everybody at first feels rather cramped, as it were. General Pyevayedov would like to have the honour of making Your Excellency's acquaintance, and wishes—
Never heard of him.
Oh, for goodness sake, Your Excellency, General Pyevayedov, Vasily Vasilyevich.
Are you General Pyevayedov?
No, Your Excellency, I am merely Court Councillor Liviziatnikov, sir, at your service. But General Pyevayedov—
Nonsense. Then I'll ask you to leave me in peace. Let him be.
General Pyevayedov himself, with a dignified air, finally put a stop to the vile haste of his sepulchral attendant. He's not fully awake yet, Your Excellency. You need to take that into consideration, sir. It's on account that he's not accustomed, sir. He'll wake up, and then he'll take it differently, sir. Let him be, the General repeated.
Vasily Vasilyevich. Hey you, Your Excellency.
An entirely new voice suddenly cried out loudly and excitedly, right next to Avdotia Ignatievna. It was the impertinent voice of a gentleman with a fashionably weary mode of expression and impudent delivery.
I've been observing all of you for 2 hours now. I've been lying here 3 days now. Do you remember me, Vasily Vasilyevich? Klinievich. We used to meet at the Valikonskys, where, I don't know why, you were also received.
What? Count Pyotr Petrovich? Is that really you? And at such a young age. I'm so sorry.
And I'm sorry myself. But it's really all the same to me, and I want to get as much as possible from every quarter here. And it's not Count, but Baron. I'm merely a Baron. We're some sort of mangy little barons. Our people were lackeys, and I don't know why. To hell with it. I'm merely a scoundrel from pseudo-high society, and thought to be a charming polisson. My father was some sort of little general, and my mother was once received en haut lieu. Seiful the Yid and I passed off 50,000 rubles in counterfeit banknotes, and I informed against him. But Yulka Charpentier de Lusignan—
अरे रुक ना भाई एक सेकंड ये क्या होता है My mother was only know क्या only know इतना सिंपल My father was a wretched general and my mother was had thrown my sleep off and down. Ooh, धोखा दे रही वाह दोस्त कई पकड़ लिए हेलो जी क्या चल रहा है हाँ जी बताइए बताइए क्या सहायता कर सकते हैं हम आपकी क्या सहायता कर सकते हैं हम आपकी